Alright, so I just wanted to clarify this before the video started. This was recorded before the playoffs started, but a couple issues and stuff going on in my life. So this will be coming out a couple days after the playoffs started, but I mean, these are all pre-predictions. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. But anyways, alright, so I'm going to be giving my playoff predictions this video. We're going to start off with the Utah Jazz and Memphis Grizzlies. I see this going 5 games. I think the Grizzlies can steal a game in between in between the series, but I think at the end of it, the Jazz will convincingly win this series. I feel like that's pretty well known amongst NBA fans. But I think the Grizzlies can steal a game, or maybe even 2, but I'm going to just give them 1 game. So I think Jazz in 5. That's my prediction. All right, so now we're going to, by the way, I'm just going to go in order of the bracket. So next is Clippers versus Mavs. In this series, I have the Clippers in 6. I feel like talent-wise, the Mavs just can't compete with them. I know everybody's been saying that, but I disagree. I feel like Clippers have more talent. Last year, they struggled a bit because, well, yeah, but I mean, they hadn't played much together the whole year. Everybody was injured. They didn't really have a solid playmaker, but now they have Rondo. They have Serge Ibaka, who can defend the paint. I have the Clippers in 6, maybe, if not 5. I think they can take care of the Mavericks this time. I don't think they're going to be making mistakes like they did last year. So, yeah. Also, I would like to mention another reason I wouldn't take the Mavericks is because they're either the same team as last year or have even gotten worse just because they've lost that shooting in Seth Curry. They do have J.J. Redick, and they do have some other guys who can shoot the pill, of course. But, I mean, I think that Seth Curry is just another level of shooting that they really could use right now. Now, going over to the Denver-Portland series. Honestly, I see this going 7 games, and I'm going to take the Blazers. And you want to know why? Because I think this series is going to be so close. I believe it's going to be super close. And you know who performs in the clutch moments? Damian Lillard. I got the Blazers making it out this series. I just feel like they can force it to 7, and once it's to 7, I feel like Damian Lillard can pull out the 7th game. So I have the Blazers winning the series. Also, they just have so much offensive firepower. The Nuggets are missing so many people, and not to mention they're also just super beat up. I mean, Jamal Murray's gone, Will Barton's gone, PJ Dozier is gone. Monte Morris is pretty beat up. I can't see the Nuggets winning this, but yeah. Now, last but not least, the Lakers and Suns series. I have the Lakers in 6. You know what? Yeah, give me Lakers in 6. I feel so bad for the Suns team. I already mentioned it, but I mean, you worked this hard, and now you're facing the Lakers. I think not to make it seem like it's gonna be a complete domination. This is gonna be a very close series. I mean, if you look in the history, every series Chris Paul has been in, it's always been a close series in the playoffs. But I just feel like LeBron and AD and all of those guys, I feel like that's just too much for the Suns. I feel like AD's... It does really depend on how AD plays. I mean, he can either decide to dominate or he can decide to settle for a bunch of mid-range and three-point jump shots. So it'll be up to AD in this series. But I feel like the Lakers are just so powerful. Those nights where they just shoot a bit well from the three-point line and hit those, important threes. And it's boom, a W for them. That's all they really need. But, I mean, it's going to be an interesting series. I think it's going to be a really, really, really good series. But give me the Lakers, man. But, yeah. Now, moving over to the east side of things, the Wizards versus Sixers. Now, coming from a Wizards fan, I'm going to be honest. We stand no chance in this series. I mean, like I said earlier, I think we had a better chance at Brooklyn just because, I mean, if Brooklyn doesn't outscore us, then they probably won't win. But the Sixers, they have so many big guys and defenders that are just going to slow us down a lot. So it's going to be really tough to score on them. Not to mention, Embiid's also just going to dominate us. Ben Simmons, if he can get to the paint, he'll dominate us. Toby, he's been good all season, so I'm sure he might have a rocky postseason, but that won't matter against us. I feel like the Sixers are going to dominate us. We might have one game where we outscore them. Brill has a 50 or 40-point game. Russ has his usual triple-double. Rui might drop like 18 points or something. So I'll give us one game. I think we'll take it to 5. But other than that, I think the Sixers will pretty convincingly win this series. Now, this series, I think this is going to be probably my second favorite series, not including the Wizards series. Of course, I'd love to see the Wizards play, but like in terms of excitement, I think this series is going to be so great. New York versus Hawks. You got two young teams, relatively, who haven't been in the playoffs in a little bit. New York's a long time, actually, but you get the idea. They're back in the playoffs, and it's going to be a very interesting fight. Trae Young on the Hawks. They got John Collins, an upcoming star, in my opinion. Clint Capella, one of the better defensive players in the league. And a bunch of role players like Danilo Gallinari, Lou Williams, and Bogdan Bogdanovic, or Bojan, whatever his name is. And then, the Knicks, they have Julius Randle, the MIP this year. Mitchell Robinson, Nerlens Noel, Derrick Rose, Alec Burks. Both teams are very, very deep. But in this series, I'm taking the Knicks in 7. And the reason why is because they have so many. I think they have more veterans, in my opinion. Well, with playoff experience. Yes, the Hawks do have Lou Will and Danilo Gallinari. But the Knicks have Derrick Rose and Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks. And they've also just proven to be the better team this year. They swept them in the season series. So I want the Knicks in this series, but I think it's going to be such a good series. But yeah, give me the Knicks in 7. And I just mentioned my second favorite series, so now time to introduce you to my favorite series, the Bucks versus Heat. This series is going to be all about revenge. I think that I have the Bucks in 7 games. I feel like they're going to be different this year. They have Drew Holiday. Giannis has been, he's been taking a step back. I feel like this season they're only the third? Yeah, they're the 3rd seed. They're less focused on the regular season now and more focused on what matters the most, which is the playoffs. I feel like they're going to come out, win these games, and take care of business. And maybe even less than 7 games. I feel like they are going to take care of business this year. They won't be playing around. And I have faith in the Bucks, man. I think the Heat, of course, they're an amazing team. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, a bunch of great players. But I feel like the Bucks are just better and talent-wise this year, of course. And also, I feel like they're not going to be messing around like they did last year. I feel like Giannis is here to prove something, man. So, yeah, that's my pick. Now, I would say last but not least, but this might be least just because, this is probably, in my opinion, going to be my least favorite series to watch. The Celtics versus Nets. Come on. I give the Nets 4 games to get this over with. I feel like it won't be close just because they both have similar problems. It would be different if the Celtics had some type of amazing center, but they don't. And neither do the Nets do have Nicholas Claxton, like DeAndre Jordan and stuff. They have good centers. Or sustainable centers, while the Celtics don't really. And, there is that argument Jason Tatum could drop 50. Well, Katie could drop 50, too. So, there's not much of an argument there. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's just not going to be much of a close series, man. So, give me the Nets, and for maybe they'll lose 1 game to the Celtics, but yeah, that's my pick for the Nets. Anyways, guys, that's all the predictions I have for this video. Remember, these are just opinions. Don't come at me if your favorite team does better than I thought they would. These are just what I think, in my opinion. My opinion's not always right, no one's opinion is ever right. Well, on Twitter, but some people's opinion is right. Anyways, you get the gist. I'll see you next video. Talking about the playoffs, probably. See ya.